good evening, everybody, and welcome. Well, it's supposed to be this evening in Singapore, but welcome this evening in real life if you live in the UK or Europe, to Formula 10 here in PSGL. And tonight we are supposed to be at Singapore, but it's in the daytime. So a little bit of an error there from the admin who has set it, but not to worry, day or night, it does not matter in my opinion. We're still going to see some really good action. I'm just trying to find my stream quickly, which is hence the quick delay there. And unfortunately there was a little bit of a problem with a PlayStation. Another problem that I have is simply that I'm not hearing anything I'm saying, so I kind of can't describe anything. Everything seems to be alright though. Let me just try and find my stream, just so I know what I'm doing, just so everything is in order. Right, everything's up now. That is brilliant. Anyway, so last week, of course, it was the Russian Grand Prix, and a rather very unpredictable one in the end. I really recommend you go and watch that one later in the evening, but that was where Dende restored his lead in the championship by taking the victory, and Hersey obviously not having a very good day at all that evening. However, we are here for the Singapore Grand Prix, which described by the two podium sitters that joined me last week, James Dovey and Dende. That is a track they seem to really enjoy, so I think it'll be an interesting one. Anyway, Rika is the first driver we're going to go on board with around this really tight circuit. Tricky track down to turn 1, try and get it on the accelerator pretty quickly, use all the track available, then going through turn 2 and turn 3, pretty tricky through there, but Rika seems to manage it quite well. Turn 4, take a wide line, don't invalidate there, quite easy through turn 4, and then DRS open, the first DRS straight of this free DRS section track. Quite a long straight this one is, and then braking at the 100-meter board, brakes quite well on the throttle nice and early, and Rika seems to be going on for a good lap, surprisingly on the soft tyres. I wouldn't expect that really to be the main tyre. I'd expect the mediums to be favoured more than the softs, but oh well, Rika's still on his lap. Then he's coming down to what was the Singapore sling, which is no longer basically the Singapore sling, it's just one boring corner. This is a really tricky section through here, really got to nail the curbs, coming through this tight tight hairpin, very difficult as well through that, and now onto another DRS straight, and now the sector 2 split as well. I need to get the telemetry up, sorry, the lap data up, it was not on there. Anyway, he's obviously gone purple. He's the first person to set a lap when it does come around, unless he invalidates coming through these tricky 90-degree corners, very similar to what we saw last week in Russia, but a little bit more flavour, I suppose, in this track. Since it's in the dark, it's quite a majestic looking section in the dark, but annoyingly we're in the light, and again, and Chat Tyler's already saying, lovely midnight this is. Yeah, it is a very, very good night here as Rika comes across the line. He's the first person to settle up at 36.0, and this is one of those tracks that is very, very difficult really to see loads of difference. This really does bring out a skill in drivers, I tell you that now. And the strategy wise it does as well, as Hersey hitting the wall there. That's a little bit of end plate gone there. Lewis though is the quickest at the moment, and this is what I mean. Rika didn't even look like he set a terrible lap, to be honest. He actually looked like he set a pretty decent lap, and he's already 2 seconds slower than Lewis, who's got pole at the moment by 4 attempts. But into the pits comes Hersey, unsurprisingly not going to finish his lap, no real point. Is Poggle coming towards the line? Yes he is. Let's see what he can do. 2 more corners to go. Very, very easy to spin the car a bit too much here. 36.6, but he did set it on the medium, so a good lap really, considering that he's on the medium tyres. I still hear the game sound so much, and it's quite annoying. Hopefully that should be better now. Oh, I'm pressing all sorts of things. Right, that should be better now. Now I can hear everything that's going on, and I can kind of understand myself, so I don't feel like I'm tripping up all the time with things. Anyway, Dende now coming through the final few corners then of his lap. And let's see what lap time he can put in. We've seen full perspective how good Poggle's lap was. We've seen how good Dende's lap is now. He's 9 tenths off Lewis, who set his time on the softs, but Dende 9 tenths off in the medium tyres. So actually a good lap from Dende. Stiggy's retired and out of this session. He's lost that through sector 2, I believe. So not good news for him. But he will start on the soft, so either way. And this is a track that is quite, well, unless he's outside the top 10. But this track is one of those tracks where drivers do tend to debate which tyres are better, the softs or the mediums. And obviously, I'm guessing a lot of these drivers are still favouring the soft tyres. There's a lot of bugs on this game, isn't there? Because it takes me a long time to at least get out of this bit, and it's quite annoying. Anyway, Aero Specialist, where is he on the track? Is he the latest? I think he is. Everyone else is on an in-lap, I think, or an out-lap. Well, he's on an out-lap. In-lap on the pits, should I say. Except from Aero Specialist. What's going on here? Interesting. Oh, there we go. Sorted. Okay, alright, that's good. We are restarting. Okay. Is that why everyone has left and everything? I have not noticed. Well, Trap Formula sent me an invite, so it is definitely a restart. So we're restarting because obviously we want it done in the night. And I did mention I didn't really care, to be honest. Day or night, either way, you know, it's competitive, but to be honest with you, in the night it's an extra spectacle, isn't it? So let's be completely real here, we wouldn't mind it. And yeah, we'll have to go back into the lobby, we'll have to wait a little longer. I tell you what that does do, that does give me the opportunity to talk a bit about the standings and how everything is looking right now in both drivers and constructors. So really, it's been set in stone. If you've watched the season pretty much throughout, you know where it stands at the top. Dende and Hersey seem to be the two challengers going to the line. They've both been trading victories all season. The only race that wasn't one of these two winning was in Belgium, which was Yigamal who won that race. And he is here tonight, Yigamal, but he's the only driver to win other than those two. So that just shows how good these two drivers are this season. But Hersey has had that sort of moment last week in Russia where perhaps complacency kicked in. He was set to dominate it again. This reminds me of Lewis Hamilton at Italy in 2020, set to dominate it. Simple mistake kind of cost him not only the race win, but cost him all the points altogether, which meant obviously Dende took quite a convincing lead back in the championship, 7 points clear. And with these two being very close, it's going to be quite hard to separate them. But we have noticed that Hersey, on the pace, on track, it does seem like he is the quicker driver. And that is obviously no sort of offence to Dende, because I believe Dende even agreed with that, and he even said that himself. But obviously Dende has been challenging very, very strongly and picking up the pieces when it's necessary at all tracks this season, which has led to him being in the lead of this championship at the moment. And James Dovey, he's all on his own at the moment. He's 21 points clear of Trap Formula, but he's 26 points behind Hersey in second place. So whatever happens to James Dovey tonight, he cannot be overtaken or he cannot overtake. He's stuck in third place for a little while. So really for James Dovey, it's not going to be too much of an issue for him. And Trap Formula 4th in the championship, he's kind of gone under the radar a little bit. With his P2 in Monaco. He has had good qualifyings, I have to admit, but in the race he's kind of just fallen behind, unfortunately. He really needs to get that race sorted out, because in qualifying he looks set to get podiums, he looks set to potentially win races on the odd occasions, but just when it comes to it, he doesn't end up really doing too well in the race, and it seems by the performances here. 3 DNFs. Monaco, it was a pretty valiant result, to be honest, because he went to the back of the grid at the start after an incident, and he clawed himself all the way back to second place, so kudos for him. That was probably one of the best performances of the season by a driver that wasn't a winner. In fact, it probably was, that wasn't a winner, definitely. And there's a few others here, of course. Italy, 4 points with the fastest lap as the benefit. There, and 6 points as well at Russia. So good performances from Trap Formula, but just not enough to keep up. But that's really the top four. It's pretty close for that fourth place. Anyone between him and Lewis in 13th can go and get that fourth place in the championship. But again, no one can. James Dovey will be in third no matter what happens. I need to go into spectate. I do apologise. And not only that, he cannot catch up to second or first at the moment. Anyway, into the constructors. Williams are actually leading that at the moment because Dende and Davy W have got a pretty solid grip on that title at the moment. From Haas in second place, which is Hersey and Hugo Walsh. Is Hugo Walsh here tonight? He hasn't been here the last couple of weeks, to be honest, which I'm slightly concerned about. I haven't seen him in a little while. But anyway, that seems to be the least of our problems. Hersey pretty much carrying the team at the moment, let's be honest. He's got 75 points out of an 81 points team. So it's pretty clear who has been raking up most of the points. But yeah, one of the early favourites for me were AlphaTauri, and they're sitting down in 5th place. And it reminds me of last season, the Mercedes team in F3, where it was Lars and Cohen in F3. I was expecting them to finish quite highly. I rated both drivers. I think they are both really talented drivers, of course, and you know, I expected big things of them in the Constructors' Championship, and they ended up being in the midfield, and I was kind of surprised. But you know, it happens, really. When I say that again, AlphaTauri have had their own sort of fortunes, really. I think Jack Tyler probably has had a bit of a fortune loss, but to be honest with you, his performances have just been going downhill from where he's finished. 11 points, 8 points, 4 points, 1 point, 0 points. He'll be wanting to at least somehow improve from that 0 points, so he would definitely like to go up, obviously finishing the race if that's the case. Hopefully now we've got into the lobby, we've got everything sorted. Hopefully now it is in the night, because I do not want to go back into another lobby, because we've been waiting a little while, and you know, this is a reminder to the PC side of PSGL. That took a little while to get underway as well, so that's running a little late. No fault, of course, of the people hosting or running. The servers were quite down there. I think that's the same here. It's the same everywhere, to be honest. So much different issues going on with every single different thing, whether it is you know, this person's fault or that person's fault, or just, you know, the game being the game. But I mean, hey ho. Well, it's wet now, so I don't know if we are gonna restart again or not now. We might actually be restarting again. Again, I hope not, because I understand it was dry conditions the first time around. So I think there will be a prompt sort of demand for the drivers to restart. But I am hoping the drivers are going to just say, no, you know, I'm going to just go out. I'm going to do this, you know. I'm going to show my talent, and I'm going to go out in the wet conditions and perform. And hopefully we're going to have the drivers do that. And, you know, I think there was someone who said it and everything. It's sort of like this sort of phrase, who's got the biggest cojones, and you know, you kind of understand what that is, perhaps, but basically I'm not really going to go into it, but that's basically sort of a phrase that I heard someone say, and it kind of reminded me a little bit. But anyway, this is basically what it's going to be. Who can actually put in the best performance? This is all going to be about skill, really, for everyone. And this time we'll have Sydney as the first driver out, and he is actually a new driver to PSGL F10. I've not seen him before, unless it's someone who's changed their name. I'll just clarify that. It's in the Renault, so he's definitely probably a reserve. Again, unless he's changed his PSN name, and I've not seen that. Yeah, well, he's definitely been in the Renault, because it says he's in the Renault from the allocations. But I've never seen him race before. Whether it's a new driver or not a new driver, well, we'll have to wait and see. Because Renault haven't particularly been with any new driver to my... That's actually a good thing. What I could do is I could just check the F10 standings. Where's Renault? I've gone blind. Oh, they're all the way at the bottom. So this is either Crown Plays. This is either Crown Plays with a new name, or it's a reserve driver or a new driver come in. So anyway, it doesn't seem to matter. We've never seen this guy before, unless of course it is a certain name that we're familiar to in Crown Plays. But anyway, he will come to start his lap in very tricky wet conditions. Alpha saying there's a thunderstorm in 10 minutes. I'm not sure how the game processes that. I've not really seen that, but I think basically what it means is that it's going to be treacherous conditions, which I think I had one league race on in Russia with terrible conditions where I actually had to bring out a safety car because of it. No one had crashed or anything. It was just the conditions were so bad you couldn't see, you couldn't drive, and I think that's quite cool. And whether they have that in this sort of track as well, I don't know. Anyway, here he comes then down to turn 6, I believe now. I may have miscounted. I'm going to say it's turn 6 anyway. Maybe the dink is counted, maybe it's not. Turn 7 this is now. He's struggling all about though through these corners. Now turn 8, hit the apex if you can, and all but he gets to that inside line. He's got a car ahead of him. This is quite an awkward section to have a car ahead of you, to be honest, because obviously that car is going to be quite slow, and well, this section is very tricky to get through in the dry conditions, let alone the wet conditions. Can be a little bit of distraction, and you know, Jendrik has to get around that corner as well. He can't just stop. Luckily, no contact or no issues whatsoever. Here comes Justin Sidney then. Let's see what he can do into, I believe now, turn 11. I should have got a track map up because I've really underestimated how long this track is. Now coming through these 90-degree corners, through like tunnels, and this section is very tricky. A stadium section here on the left-hand side. You see a big amount of crowd. They're now under the tunnel, so under the grandstand there. And you see we're now coming out of the final 90-degree corners, and then you've got the tricky 45-degree corners coming up the next. 2 of them. Here's 1, and here is 2 coming up. Let's not slide it out of the corner, but it's Josh Sidney. He's the first finisher at 1:58.1, and a very, very anxious looking lap it looked like for him. Alpha F1 almost doing the same as Josh there, but keeping it much better then. And through this tricky section now, and let's see, while we wait, because I think we're just going to get the initial lap times in. While we wait, let's just get the Singapore circuit up, just so I don't keep, you know, stumbling on that. Right, let's have a look then. Have I got this right? Right, there we go. I've got it up now. I've got a track map up. It's actually got names on it, but to be honest with you, no one knows the names of this track. Anyway, we are now coming through turn 16. Apparently there's 23 turns around here, but apparently turn 15 is a little left-hander there, pretty much flat out. But anyway, now through turn 18 and turn 19. It's actually a little bit of a dry patch there, so it's going to be pretty tricky through there in terms of tyre heating. Fortunately, it's only a small, tiny little thing, and look at Alpha trying to keep his car in a straight line. How tricky these conditions actually are tending to be. The sky is filled with rain now across the line of 59.3, and that just shows how difficult these conditions and the varied times as well. Jack Tyler is the quickest with a 57.4, and then Alpha with a 59.3. Trap Formula was who I was looking for. He is someone who is known for his qualifying times, doing quite well. That's Jack Tyler on the inside, speaking about him. But Trap Formula not set a time right now, always putting it in the wall there at turn 12, but now going through turn 13, the hairpin. That's the Anderson Bridge. That is a section actually that people do probably well know anyway. But now coming down to turn 14, Davey W's going wide there. He knows there's a car coming through, so he's just going to pull off to the outside. He's going to have no deal with it. But now coming through turn 16, turn 17 then as well, hitting the apex. Now turn 18, a pretty tricky corner in itself. That's turn 17 actually. Turn 18, under the tunnel, under the grandstand if you like, under the fans if you like. And then now turn 19 and turn 20, very tricky through here. and then turn 21, and then we'll go on to turn 22 and 23. Tricky through here. Do not slide the car too much. It's like a rally car, and he's just about held it on. Where's he gone? He's 7th place for Trap Formula. But look at that. He was really drifting around that corner. That just shows how tricky it is, really, to keep the car in a straight line. At the moment, it's a really good day for Alpha Tauri. So Stiggy, who's been given a second dose of luck, really, he goes first and third at the moment. Poggle at the moment is on a lap. I'm not sure how serious his lap is, because he does seem to be not using much ERS. He's quite slow out the corner, very, very cautious out the corner. He seems to be doing alright here, Poggle. He's not worrying too much about anything. And the Mercedes driver doing alright at the moment. And the Mercedes team right now doing, I suppose, okay as well in the constructors. Oh, and that's a bit of a mix-up there from the position thing. They're in 4th place. But I think whoever does the PSGL F10 standards, the position numbers are a little bit screwed up, because 8th place is in 4th place, but they do have 4th place's points. So I wonder if that's a little bit of a mess up there that they need to fix. Anyway, Poggle comes across the line. It's a 2:04. That's not going to be too competitive at all. I said how cautious he was going out through the corners, so it is really no surprise. Let's look for Jack Tyler. He is the leader of this. He's not on a lap, it don't look like. Neither is Stiggy. Dende's on a lap. Dende's coming towards the end of his lap. It's not going to be an improvement at all. A 2:05. Interesting. I thought he would have been coming to start a lap, but he hasn't. That's an interesting one, to be honest. But Hersey down in 15th, I do want to mention that. That's unlike him. In the wet conditions, Hersey has seemed to be the better of everyone, to be honest. And at the moment, he's at the back of the grid. While his championship rival's in 4th place. And I think his championship rival will be delighted to see the fact that that the Haas driver of Hersey is down in 15th. I'm pretty sure he'd be absolutely over the moon with that one. Yeah, David W out lap. What about James Dovey? James Dovey's on a lap. So I'm intrigued to see how this goes. I wonder if the conditions are so bad that you cannot improve at all. So he goes through down to turn 4 now. And yep, turn 5, sorry, there's a tiny little turn there. That's probably what I was getting mixed up with anyway. Turn 6 to turn 7 now. But let's just see how it is. 8 tenths down for the first sector. I think the conditions have literally got to that stage which Alpha was on about, where it is just so treacherous. It's the thunderstorm conditions sort of thing. But basically it's like the monsoon conditions. I'm not gonna lie, I really would love to see F1 cars literally just go in those conditions. Because obviously we saw in Turkey, for example, in qualifying particularly, what it did to the grids. You know, you saw Lance Stroll on pole with Sergio Perez and everything. It really just showed, like, you know, who has the best car in the wet conditions, and it really, really, really did spice up the grid that weekend, and that's why it's been commended as one of the best weekends in a while. So it would actually be really, really good if they actually allowed the cars to really go in these wet conditions that like have no limits. But mind you, again, we barely ever get rain in Formula 1 in real life anyway. Anyway, James Dovey coming through his lap. I don't think he'll be improving. I think it's pretty difficult out there to improve. The conditions are very, very difficult to control. And yep, he's coming into the pits. So I wonder if people are just gonna retire now, because it doesn't look likely anyone's gonna be improving. Actually, Sticky's thinking about the intermediates. Interesting choice. I have to say, the rain does look like it's cooling down, actually. To my surprise. I may have got this one a bit screwed up here. it does look like the rain is actually slowing down somehow, despite it seeming to look like thunderstorm conditions. Don't do that, Josh Sydney. Don't put yourself in the wall there. You'll be very fortunate to hear that you're not going to be in the wall completely. There'll be other tracks that's more difficult to save yourself from that. As we try and find a driver, we've got Black Phoenix then, and at the moment on the wet tyres. Stiggy thinking it's alright for intermediates now, which is an interesting call. Well, Warren Hogg says enters are only 3 seconds slower and they're just increasingly getting better. Interesting. So I wonder by the end of this session it will be pure intermediate conditions. Lewis is coming very close behind Black Phoenix. Black Phoenix is on a lap, but so is Lewis. So this is a little bit of a scruffy sort of moment, because if Lewis is up on his lap, this could be completely ruining his lap at the moment. But Black Phoenix is holding his own anyway. He's kind of ignoring it, sticking to his own lap. And you know what? This may have just restricted Lewis from something completely special. Let's see when he comes across the line. He does get pole position, actually. Never mind that statement then. I was expecting him to at least move up a couple positions, but he's up to the top. Yeah, well, that's interesting. It does suggest interesting conditions here. Apparently it's now only 2 seconds between the wets and the intermediates. So really, there's a debate going on whether we should go on to the wets and intermediates. So what a lap time from Aero Specialist. We're really getting down with the times now. 55.9. That does suggest intermediate conditions towards the end of the... Apologies. This does suggest intermediate conditions towards the end of this session then. A lot of drivers, well, Josh Sydney anyway, is completely debating on whether to go for it or not. Keeps switching between them. Same with all of them. Alpha F1's doing the same. I mean, you know, if they had an animation really for you know, the mechanics taking on and off the tyres, I'm sure they'd be dead at this point. So well done to them guys. They've basically destroyed their engineers' arms, mechanics' arms should I say. Anyway, so Dende has not chosen the intermediate option. He's going to go on for the wets. He's got purple in sector 1, so he believes that the intermediates are not going to be good enough to really benefit from. This is a little bit of an interesting one for people like Hersey now, who can really back up their point of being one of the fastest drivers in the wet conditions. But Aero Specialist at the moment on pole. I'm sure he was probably surprised at that. We haven't seen Aero Specialist up there that often, so it is good to see a little bit more variation. But I think now the conditions coming down to the point now where, you know, it's not all it's about who's got the skill in the wet conditions. The inters are faster now, so Dende may have not made the best strategy. He will likely improve on this lap and probably likely take the top spot, but I don't think he'll be good enough to even get close to what will be the pole lap time eventually after this, if that's the case. As he comes through the final few corners, struggling on the exit. He knows he can't really do much more than just pray and hope he gets around these corners quicker. He's going to come across the line. It's going to be a 55-1, and yep, it is going to be the top spot for now. But here comes one of the first runners on the intermediates. I think it is probably the first runner on the intermediate, Stiggy. And this is well awkward. Yigamau, very, very awkward position in there. That may have put Stiggy off big time. And Yigamau there in the background, not really doing much. There's a hash round in an awkward area. Is that Hersey? It is. Has he got wind damage? He has. That might actually be Hersey's qualifying completely over then. We're going to go back to Stiggy, but I think Hersey may be out of this qualifying session because that wind damage is not going to help him. at all. He's going to continue onto his lap, so I'm intrigued to see how he does. But with a track like this, that's a huge mistake he's made. But now coming through sector 3 now, Stiggy currently in 6th place. He will be likely to take the lead of this qualifying session, take the pole position of this qualifying session as he comes through turn 18, turn 19 now. A pretty decent lap time so far. Turn 20 and turn 21, the exit onto a little bit of a straight here until you get into the final 2 corners. 45 degree for the first one, 45 degree for the second one, and then the exit of the corner. He does make it to the line. He doesn't go quicker than Dende though, which is an interesting sort of thing going on here. Jack Tyler 8 tenths up on his lap time. Looked a bit squeamish out the exit of that corner, but he looks alright there to really do well. As Lewis goes up to 4th, has Dende just struck the has he struck it perfectly here? I seriously doubt it, but Jack Tyler really is going through the corners. He's fighting the car as much as he can. Let's see how he does. He's got a couple corners to go. As that time continues to go up, he's literally rushing to get to the line now. Keeping the car in a straight line. He's doing alright at the moment. 2 more corners to go. But this is going to be pretty close, you know. And he's got it. He's got it by quite some mile. And Bonus stuck in the middle of the track. I don't know how that's happened. But oh well, it's gone to AI car for Jack Tyler. But he takes pole position. James Dovey into 2nd place. Where's Hersey though? Here's an interesting one. Will he be beating... No, he will not. He definitely will not be beating Dende. This is actually going to be very close. And he has. Wow. He had wing damage on that front side. That's very impressive from Hersey there. It doesn't matter what anyone says here. That is a really impressive lap. He's got wing damage on that front left side. He's beaten out Dende. And he is only 6 tenths off Jack Tyler at a track that... which it is very difficult to get something like that. Anyway, Josh Sidney then, he comes across the line. Has he taken pole? No, he hasn't. He's just missed out. And Track Formula, I think, has taken pole now then instead. I don't know if Stiggy's got time to finish it up. He does. Oh, he goes 2nd place there. Misses out on pole position. That's actually a brilliant lap time for a Track Formula. In contrast though, 8 tenths clear of anyone on the track. And that's even Sticky as well, who finished later. That is an impressive lap time from the Ferrari driver. And I said about this going in, he has amazing qualifying pace. He really does show himself in qualifying. But in the race, it's just unfortunate events that seem to happen which catch him out. But he's on the top spot for tonight. And hopefully he'll be looking to put it all in the race now to potentially go on to win the Singapore Grand Prix and become the 4th winner of this PSGL season. But Sticky in 2nd place. What a day for AlphaTauri. They're really enjoying that there in 2nd and 3rd, basically almost occupying the front row, but they're behind a Ferrari in 1st, so it's a Scuderia 1, 2, 3. But obviously they're not all Ferraris, are they? Anyway, so Track Formula takes pole position. I think that's his 2nd pole position of the season. Stiggy in 2nd, Jack Tyler 3rd, Josh Sidney on his debut in 4th, James Dovey 5th, Hersey up in 6th, and then Dende in 7th place. He'll be happy on the wet tyres. He'll be satisfied anyway to be ahead of Poggle and Alpha F1 in 8th and 9th. And Aero Specialist makes out the top 10. Everyone outside the top 10. There you have it. And once again, for the surprise of the weekend, I reckon so far, really has been Lewis 05. I was expecting a bit more from the Australian driver, considering he was up there looking for pole position, and he actually got pole position last week. So I was a little surprised. And in the chat, not bad at all, Alpha. And I tell you what, it was a very tricky circuit out there, so to be honest with you, we'll just have to wait and see. But it looks like we're going to have a dry start to the race. If I am correct, it's overcast conditions though. It doesn't look exactly too clear out there. It may just be the lighting though. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, so back to the action. I was just checking something. But honestly, we're going to be getting underway for this race tonight. And we'll hopefully for us, we'll have some good action in store. This is a track that does tend to be quite inconsistent. Luckily for the lobby, we do have the formation lap. But what's more interesting here, because of the wet conditions, it's a bit. There'll probably be a bit more people thankful than ever. They can choose tyre strategies, and everyone's gone for the mediums except from Hersey, Vonis, and Jägermal. So everyone on the mediums, but 3 drivers. Everyone else. Those 3 drivers are on the hard tyres. Don't expect to see the soft tyres at all in this race. Even if there's a safety car with about 10 laps to go, don't expect softs. Because in my opinion, the soft tyres are just... they're gone in like 2 or 3 laps around this track. You're probably better just going on the mediums, really, because if you bottle a lap on softs in qualifying and go again, they're slower than the mediums come the end of the lap. So that just shows you how quickly those soft tyres drop off. So expect the mediums and hards to be used, but expect to see no softs in this race unless, of course, people are just going for that quick fastest lap to steal it from someone who's at the back of the grid. But despite that, we should only be seeing mediums and hard tyres tonight. And hopefully we're in for a really good race, because 31 laps around this track, which is very, very long. It's going to be a long, long race, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, it's going to be the longest race in the. It's going to be the longest race on the PSGL calendar by far. There's no doubt about that. And I tell you now, it's going to be a very, very tricky one as well. There's going to be a lot of crashes, a lot of action, and you know these drivers have seemed to be quite clean this season. I tell you that, considering we looked at the pre-season race, we were like, oh, we're in for an absolute dumpster fire here. But actually, to be fair, this whole season, this tier has been relatively clean. They've had their odd moments, but they've actually been really, really clean, and the driving standards have actually been generally quite good. So I am hopeful that we're going to see really good racing here as Chat Formula gets his last warmings of his tyres up. And there's a bit of a gap between him and the back, so he'll be waiting on the grid for a little while, the Ferrari driver. Whether that's a really good move or not, we'll have to wait and see. But personally for me, that was probably not the most inspired move, now was it? But mind you, everyone is coming through the final 2 corners now. So hopefully we'll get underway for this race soon, and I'm pretty sure that's how Chat Formula will be feeling. But he's got 2 Alpha Tauris alongside him. In second and third being Stiggy and Jack Tyler. I'm going to be interested to see how those 2 play a role in this coming down to turn 1. As I just wait for the camera switch. You see me flicking this a little bit. And I'm still waiting. Are we going to get it? Are we going to get underway? Just waiting for the lights. Oh, that's not good news. Jendrik's left the session. He's not near the front, but anyway, 5 red lights. We're underway. Who's got the best start? It looks like Sticky gets a really good start off the line. He'll be challenging Trap Formula down to turn 1. It looks like one of the Renaults have got a good start. That must be Josh Sidney, and everyone's going all over the place across the track. 3 wide through turn 3 now, and look at Josh Sidney side by side with Trap Formula, looking to take the lead of this race. But Trap Formula has the inside line. He'll be hopeful to stick that Ferrari in the lead. He takes the lead in this race. Josh Sidney outdoing both Alpha Tauris in third and fourth. And look at Dende. Dende gets the move on Hersey. He's now looking for the Alpha Tauris as well. We have a safety car already. I mean, that's no surprise, is it? It is literally this track. It is safety cars. But Alpha and Black Phoenix is out of this race. I don't know what's happened to those 2. But big drama. Jägermal, where is he? I don't know what's happened at the back there. A big crash though, it looks like. Alpha and Black Phoenix. but safety car is the opening thing we get, and that's quite unfortunate because it looked like we were going to have a little bit of a good battle initially for a little while, but yeah, that's not gonna work, is it? So we've already got drivers getting penalties in Poggle and Warren Houck. Have they jumped the start perhaps? I wonder. No, they haven't. It's 5 seconds, so it's perhaps the safety car glitch. So I'm just waiting to see what will happen with that. But yeah, good entertaining start of the race. Track Formula sticks it in the lead though. He didn't lose his position, even though the Renault, I have to say, got an absolutely incredible start. And has jumped both Alpha Tauris. I thought Stiggy got a good start as well. It looked like he got a good start initially at the launch. But Josh Sidney's start compared to them was insane. Track Formula was relatively quick as well. I'll see if I can go back to that because obviously I've got time to look back at these sort of things. And hopefully I'm right in saying that it was a good start. I'm going to just look back at this because we're on a safety car. It's not going to be any worry. So just wait for the light to come up on this one because it took quite a while, didn't it? But anyway, I'm just seeing this start then again. Who gets off the line quickest? It definitely looks like Stiggy gets off the line quickest, but the momentum he got was quite poor. But the Renault, the momentum he got, he was already side by side. Track Formula had a bit of a shoddy start. He's a bit awkwardly off the track, but what a start from Josh though. Absolutely insane start really to move himself up to second, and to be fair he was actually challenging for the lead for a little while. Dendy as well was challenging for 4th place as well, so good starts from both of them. Really, unfortunately there's no replay system, and you know, if Cody does watch this, it is definitely something that I would love to see. Some sort of replay system you have. You've got, like, you know, the RAM in things such as PlayStation 4s, PlayStation 5s and PCs, etc. A lot of them are definitely powerful enough to at least provide that. At least like a couple of minutes or something. It is possible to do. So that is definitely something that is definitely on the wish list for me, for that to happen. And it would be a nice thing. But there's other things as well that you would like. Better camera angles at some points. They're not really too great. I think more flexibility with it is also quite a good idea. But yeah, enough about that. Obviously EA has acquired Codemasters, so we will be hearing EA Sports that's in the game. Maybe not in 2021 though. I'm not entirely sure whether we'll get that introduction, or whether we'll just get the typical 5 lights go out and yeah, you know what I mean. So really, it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out, and I think with the extra money, with the extra budget, and possibly extra staff as well in hand, hopefully the game should be much cleaner, and I'm quite optimistic of it, putting the jokes aside. Anyway, we're on to lap 3, as Jack Tyler gets a 5-second penalty for clashing with his teammate, and his teammate's also got that as well, so AlphaTauri having another bit of a bottle moment, but I'm pretty sure that'll probably get removed for both drivers. But at the moment, we're under safety car conditions, and I don't think we'll be out of it very, very soon. But no drivers did pit, so that's the good thing. And well, they did pit actually. I think Warren Houck and Poggle pitted. Warren Houck onto the hard tyres. Will be interesting because I don't believe they can go to the end, but if they do, that puts them in a very interestingly good position. The pit lane here, I don't think is too long. I'm not exactly sure if you have the 60 kph or the 80 kph. If anyone can tell me in the chat what it is, or remind me in the chat what it is, then that'd be appreciated. But all I know is I don't think the pit lane is too long here in Singapore. And because of that, that does give the opportunity for Warren and Warren specifically. Poggle was a bit more different since he's on the medium tyres, which does indicate he's going to be stopping again. But Warren, I don't know. He could actually stay out to the end. I wonder if he will. Because definitely from this point, the strategy is medium-medium. You could easily do medium-medium as well around this track if you're able to do it. Of course, but the game doesn't allow you to. You had to use 2 different compounds, so obviously you had to do medium-hard or hard-medium. And soft-medium doesn't work. But as we prepare to restart, then Trap Formula will be the leading driver. He hasn't heated up his rear tyres at all. Has Josh done that? As I'm just trying to see. No, his ones are actually in fact a little bit worse here. So we're going to stick on board with Trap Formula, see when he goes. And it looks like he's just about ready to go. He's kind of dabbing with it a little bit. Got to be careful. Can't do a foul to Bottas. And there he goes. No, yep, there he goes. Yep, he's gone now. That was a bit of an awkward sort of moment there. A little bit of a lag sort of moment. But anyway, he's back into the lead of this race then. He gets this race back underway then. Down to turn 1. It's pretty good from him. And it's a pretty good restart from Trap Formula. Josh Sidney 8 tenths behind now, but there's a little bit of a gap starting to form behind him. And hopefully Jack Tyler can make a little bit of impact and make inroads on Josh Sidney ahead of him. Dende as well was quite close. We've got a little bit of now a slipstream train, so I don't suspect any sort of overtakes unless significant changes to the setup. But at the moment, the top 3 is a little bit different to what I expected. Trap Formula in the lead to Josh Sidney, and then Jack Tyler in 3rd. Stiggy must have got damaged, that's hence why he went in the pits. He's on the hard tyres though, so an interesting one for him. And I already stated about Warren Haug. Warren Haug, I think, has already made a move on Yigamau as well, which is quite impressive and possibly the right thing to do. But at the expense of that, he's lost quite a lot of time to the driver ahead in Jendrick. I wonder if he can catch up into the 1 second mark of him. But at the moment, no real overtakes going to be happening at the moment. No real small gaps. The closest one is James Dovey. The game's been a bit of a pain, hence why I had to do this all manually. And James Dovey looking now to put pressure on the Haas driver ahead of him in Hersey. Who's still trying to at least keep with Dende, and look at that, a little bit of a slide on the exit of that corner. That's the difference between the hards and the medium tyres, and this is going to be important now because I think the DRS is now going to be enabled this lap. I think I just saw it at the bottom there say it's enabled. What's that fastest lap? I think that was actually a fastest lap. It may not be enabled this lap, but either way, James Dovey would definitely be looking at that. He'd be quite encouraged by the fact that Hersey may be struggling a little bit with the grip at the moment, but mind you, he had his own small moment at the exit of the 3rd corner of this track. Now coming down to turn 6 and coming through here, Hersey seems to be cutting the corners a little bit just to keep that momentum ahead. I don't know if he's got a warning for that or not, but anyway, he seems to be going quite well. James Dovey going a little wide there. Has to be careful, he's lost a bit of time because of that. He's got Aero Specialist behind him. A little gap between Jack Tyler now and Josh Sidney. So Josh Sidney's got away from him very well. Dende is now looking quite close on Jack Tyler. Can he close in enough to consider himself a threat? I don't know. But James Dovey definitely starting to consider himself a threat to the guy ahead of him being Hersey. The top 3 in the championship are 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment. So that's considerate. At the moment we're getting a podium. This is only lap 5 of 31. We're getting a podium though of drivers that I don't think have really featured on the podium too often here. It has usually been these 3 on the podium for most weeks. James Dovey, Hersey and Dende. But in the order it's usually Hersey, Dende and James Dovey. James Dovey always picking up that 3rd place. But anyway, a big gap between Hersey now and Dende. Dende I think is just trying to push away from Hersey, make sure he doesn't seem to be creeping up on him in the latter stages. But at the moment, James Dovey looking quite strongly close behind. In fact, Aero Specialist is looking quite close as well. So I wonder if Aero Specialist is going to be looking for a move here. He's quite close, but the DRS is open, so no moves is going to be made here. Surely he's not going to dive it all the way from here. Yeah, it'd be stupid from James Dovey. He's just going to stick behind Hersey for now. We're not really seeing any overtaking moves, but this is a little bit of a train beginning to form, but that's obvious simply because Hersey's on the hard tyres, the rest are on the mediums. Davey W is likely to join this train in a minute. So that is what we're getting at the moment. We're just getting a few sort of trains at the moment, and I think towards the latter stages of this race we're going to be getting them again. The interesting thing about the strategy Hersey's gone for... Oh, James Dovey in the background there! Almost getting it in the wall. He's lucky not to have that in the wall, and he's now going to come under threat from Davey W. Davey W is not going to be close enough to launch an attack, but that pressure of being behind in the dirty air almost cost James Dovey a front wing. How he's kept that out is quite brilliant, to be honest, so well done to him. Josh Sidney now quite close to Trap Formula. I think this is going to be an interesting battle at the front. I think we can head there, to be honest. That's the wrong person we were looking for, but of course, you know, that's the only thing I had to do to escape it. Anyway, look how close we are now. DRS open for Josh Sidney, but look at all the ERS being used up for Trap Formula. This is the problem here. Some of these drivers have been using the strategy to use all the ERS, and then at the end of the day they just end up with no ERS to defend, and they become a sitting duck. But anyway, here comes Josh Sidney then. He's closing on Trap Formula. They both have the ERS, but look who has the DRS. It's Josh Sidney. He goes down the inside. It's a nice move. Has he cut the corner there? He hasn't received a penalty from it, but there we go. Change of lead then. Change of hands for that, and that is a simple move for Josh Sidney. He'll be happy with that. Trap Formula once again kind of falling back. He doesn't want to be doing that, and this is what the problem has been previously, is that he's just been falling back from the racecraft sort of side of things. But anyway, Jack Tyler now is close to them as well, 1.2 seconds behind Dende, 9 tenths behind him. Hersey has actually been overtaken by Aero Specialist. I've missed that. I wonder if James Dovey's now going to launch an attack on Hersey. That's of course if Aero Specialist can get out of the DRS of Hersey, which should be possible, really, because the medium tyres, they'll go for quite long, and I don't think the hard tyres are going to be ready until like lap 11 or lap 12, so I'll be very surprised if Hersey keeps with him. But anyway, it's going to be very close between them two. But I think Josh Sidney now is just starting to pearl away now from Trap Formula, and Trap Formula is starting to lose his grip on the Renault ahead of him. Luckily he'll have the DRS, which helps him a little bit. He doesn't have any sort of threat behind him, but he really isn't looking close to make a move on Josh Sidney. And again, we talk about the ERS. These two have kind of drained it quite a bit. Jack Tyler's on 82% for retrospective, for example, and he's probably just happy just to sit where he is right now. He's not going to be rushing too much. Just let these guys drain all their ERS and, you know, the DRS, etc., and have a little battle, and then eventually close in. That's exactly the game I think that Jack Tyler is going to be playing at the moment. To my surprise, Hersey actually hasn't lost his grip on Aero Specialist, and, well, the commentator's curse always happens. Aero Specialist has lost the car. There, he's dropped the car, and now he's actually behind his teammate Vonis, who's a long way back from these guys. So Aero Specialist losing loads and loads of time to that simple mistake, which has kind of opened the door now for Hersey, but has also opened the door really for James Dovey. No DRS for Hersey now. If James Dovey's going to make a move, he'll want to make it soon, and he's only 7 tenths behind Hersey, just ahead of him. I wonder if he's going to try and make a move then in the next lap. Then it's lap 8 out of 31. It's a long way to go, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll tell you what, Josh Sidney is making a good impression on his debut at the front of the grid. Jendrick has moved down a position for Poggle. They've had a little bit of a switch around there at that point. But anyway, James Dovey 7 tenths behind Hersey. Has he got enough momentum to close in towards the end? Hersey looks to have a lot of turn, and so does James Dovey there. James Dovey probably oversteering round that corner. It was so floaty round there. I'm pretty sure even the viewers can feel how floaty it was out of the exit of that corner. That looked very scary indeed. I'm pretty sure he's had a couple of them Not only this race, but this season he's had a couple of those moments where he's almost just turned the car completely upside down, basically. But anyway, Hersey now is looking to be under pressure from James Dovey. 8 lap-old mediums now. Again, he'll need to make the move soon if he ever wants to be considered beating this guy in front of him. But there's now a 3.3 second gap. Dende has closed in on Jack Tyler. I wonder if Jack Tyler's going to start using his ERS a little bit more now, because he has got the Williams driver pressuring behind him a little bit. I wonder if he has actually initiated that, as it looks to be pretty close out front. But Dende looking very close to Jack Tyler. Very tricky section through here, which can make you up a load of time and can lose you a load of time as well. He takes the wider approach here to perhaps get the better exit, better speed, which lines him up probably for later on in the track, or in the lap, or on the start of next lap. And look how close he is now, right behind the AlphaTauri driver. Look how similar those liveries look. You never really realise how some of the liveries look so similar. You talk about the AlphaTauri, the Haas and the Williams, they all look basically the same, which is quite considerate. Just a few little colour differences and a few little appearance differences, and other than that they look basically contrastingly the same. But anyway, Jack Tyler, he pulls into the pits then. Dende decides to stay out, and I wonder if he's thinking about maybe coming in next lap. But Jack Tyler thinks the undercut's going to work. Others going for the sort of overcut sort of thing. Is James Dovey pitting? No, he's not. He believes he can get Hersey in this lap then, I reckon. I reckon he would have come in if he didn't think that. So I wonder if James Dovey is coming in this lap, or he's going to have a bit of a battle for Hersey, or he's just going to use the DRS, really, actually. That's probably the fair point, really, for James Dovey. But at the moment, the two drivers out in front quite clear is Josh Sidney and Track Formula at the moment, but that doesn't mean to say they're going to win this race. Hersey on the hard tyres is going to be like a bullet come to the end of this race on the mediums. The reverse strategy works quite well at a track like Singapore, the hard medium sort of strategy. Of course, the considerate thing is, of course, the fuel tanks being smaller, with the more grip as well, means that there's going to be better times in the second stint than there is in the first stint. And because you're on the softer tyres as well, that's even more of an advantage. So Hersey here is all about just really seeing whereabouts he is, and really it's just going to be a test of how he can overtake and how everyone can defend when it comes around to it at the end. But it was quite early though for Jack Tyler, perhaps just to make sure he stays out of traffic or stays out of trouble. And he was slightly becoming a bit more under pressure from Dende ahead of him, and I wonder if any of the front runners are pitting this lap. Front two do not. Dende does not either. They believe the tyres could go a little longer than that. James Dovey, though, is starting to lose a little bit of grip on Hersey now, suggested that those medium tyres are starting to fall off a little bit. So I wonder if Jack Tyler has made the right move here, and I'm actually curious to see where he'll come out compared to the leaders if he is able to deploy his ERS, because these guys are quite low, and there is DRS, yes, and there is ERS to be used up, and these are working together just to keep ahead and everything, but they're on 2 lap older tyres when it comes to the mediums, and they're pitting later, and there is a lot of time still to be made for Jack Tyler. That's the problem that he seems to have, but he definitely will like to put himself in the mix. And I think the interesting strategy here is that he's actually come out behind Stiggy here. Obviously we do Stiggy pit, and he pit off restart. So actually Stiggy has got ahead of Jack Tyler, but I think Jack Tyler is now going to be getting past his teammate, and there we go, nice and easy on the straight. But that's going to propel him quite well. He's got a lot of clean air now just to run. I'm pretty sure his teammate won't going to hold him up for much longer either. So yeah, I think a pretty good day for Jack Tyler at the moment, and maybe a reason actually, because he got a 5-second penalty, didn't he, Jack Tyler? So that's cost him 5 seconds in the pit. So in terms of catching up to Track Formula and Josh, I just remembered that it's basically impossible now. Are these guys going to pit this lap? Josh is looking, thinking about it. No, he doesn't. Same with Track Formula. And oh no, is that Josh? Has he disconnected? He must have either disconnected or he's had an issue. I think Josh is no, Josh is disconnected. That's horrible news. He was at the top of this race. He was at the front of this race, and he's disconnected. That is so unfortunate. for Josh Sidney there. I'm hoping he can get back into the lobby as quickly as possible. That is really, really unfortunate for the Renault driver. On his debut as well, he was set on for a really, really good position, if not a win here tonight. And well, it looks like that seems to have gone away from him a little bit because of the servers. And well, unfortunately, I think that might actually be the race win over now for Josh Sidney, unless he can get back as quickly as possible. Trap Formula in the lead of this race then, followed by Dende then in second place for now. Obviously, Sidney's still in second place, but it's likely just to be taken over here unless he gets back. He's not even in the lobby yet, so that just states the point. There we go, Dende just about there to overtake Josh Sidney there, and that's just so disappointing. And Jendrick is actually he's actually retired in the pits. I was going to say, if he retired out on track, then it could have embraced an opportunity though for Sidney, but it doesn't. But now Trap Formula leads quite considerably now. Hersey up to third place when it comes to it, when he gets by Josh Sidney, but at the end of the day, he's quite close now to Dende. And Dende will be feeling a little bit worried a little bit, I suppose, about Hersey, because Hersey's in free air. But into the pits he goes then, Dende. Trap Formula comes in as well, so Hersey now takes the lead of this race. Everyone, though, coming into the pits on the medium tyres. But who's that going by? That'd be Davey W into second place, minus Josh Sidney, unless he gets in, of course. But at the moment, it looks like, for now... What's happened, Black Phoenix? I'm not sure what's happened, so please explain what's happened. Yeah. Anyway, Hersey then in the lead of this race, 2.5 seconds clear of Josh Sidney, and that will continue to go up. The net lead, though, technically is Trap Formula at the moment, up into 7th place at the moment, but he is likely to be retaking the lead once these leaders do pit. Davey W is the last medium runner to come in. He'll be coming in this lap, I would have supposed. It doesn't seem to suggest that, though. And well, the awkward thing is, we've got a lot of gaps. So really not very good news. And I'll tell you what is good news. Josh Sidney has returned. Hopefully he's able to get back in his car. That's what I'm hoping. He's got a charging Davey W and a Williams coming up behind him. He's still not in his car, which is quite awkward. Now it's DRS range for Davey W, but I do expect them both to come into the pits this lap. I really do. Well, one's into the pits. Other, well, he's got to stay out for another lap. This must be torture for Josh Sidney, to be honest. He's got to stay out for another lap on lap 14 of 31. He's lost an incredible amount of time to everyone. And well, I just don't know. But there's a yellow flag in sector 3. That's an Alpha Tauri. It's not going to show me who. I'm assuming that's Stiggy. He's the one with wind damage, so it definitely is Stiggy. And he'll probably have to pit this lap, and he does pit this lap. This will probably be a retirement. Personally, I wouldn't actually retire. Personally, I'd stay out. Because there is a chance, well, at this track anyway, there's a significant chance we will get a safety car later on. And once again, very tough to navigate. Anyway, Yigamau 6 steps behind Trap Formula at the moment. He's trying to close in on the net leader. He separates Dende actually from Trap Formula, so he could be a little bit of a nuisance here, Yigamau, to Dende, particularly because of that. And Trap Formula looks to be closing in now on Warren Haug, so he's got a pure grip on this race lead now, and potentially the race win. So we'll just have to wait and see for that one. But yeah, he's closing in on the Renault driver of Warren Haug, who seems to be struggling on those hard tyres. He's almost pushing Warren Haug through the corners, to be fair. So this is actually rather interesting. Here comes the Ferrari driver through the corners, trying to close in on Warren Haug. Doesn't exactly work. The awkward thing is now, though, is that Yigamau separates Dende from any sort of thing. But the annoying thing is for Trap Formula, he's got Warren Haug ahead of him, blocking his way like a barricade at the moment. And because of this has really closed the gap between him. And once again, Warren Haug very, very slow at the exit of the corners. Is there enough momentum in that car to keep him going? And no, Warren Haug's got much more ERS. This has not worked for Trap Formula. Trap Formula is going to be stuck behind a little longer. He's going to have to send it into this corner. He doesn't. There's a sense of desperacy now. Look where Dende is. He's actually almost there. He's almost in the ERS. Sorry, the DRS there. Yellow flag in sector 2. That's James Dovey. He must have gone round. A lot of spinners tonight. VSC, that's going to save him a little bit. What doesn't save him, he's still got Warren Haug ahead. But a poor restart of this could really put Trap Formula under a lot of pressure. The fortunate thing is, though, is that he's not got that risk of potentially breaking his wing for a little while. But I definitely tell you what, there is a very interesting race to probably get restarted here, because Dende, he's closed the gap quite considerably now, and Trap Formula, he's again stuck in this section. You cannot overtake. Really, you cannot, and you're stuck behind a driver that is clearly slower. Dende's there. You can see his game attack. You can see his name in the background. He's bumping Warren Haug through the corners, but the problem is the fact that Trap Formula just doesn't have... He doesn't have the ERS really to help himself. Warren Haug is going quite slow. He's actually maximised the exit here, and once again, no overtake is going to be taken for the Ferrari unless he absolutely sends it and risks potential penalties. Dende's by. Dende has got by Yigamau. This is really important now for Trap Formula, because Dende is so close to that DRS, but Trap Formula still isn't by Warren Haug. Warren Haug just gets the better exit again. This time, has it worked for Trap Formula? They're both out the ERS. The DRS is where it's going to be. He goes slightly defensive, Warren Haug. Down the inside goes Trap Formula. And finally, he gets past the Renault. But how much does that cost him? And the Renault comes fighting back, actually, on Trap Formula. He finally gets by. But this has cost him so much, because Dende is now in the DRS of Warren Haug. Has so much more ERS than both drivers ahead of him. And if Dende just makes this move stick nice and easy on Warren, which actually is looking quite likely, because Warren's quite exposed with the lack of ERS and seems to be struggling with the grip a lot more than what obviously Dende is at the moment. This could actually be quite a big hit for Trap Formula. Luckily he's got by now, and there's a big gap between him and Dende again, so Dende is going to be fed off the the DRS from Warren Haug. However, being stuck behind him is just not going to be the most positive thing, as he continues to lose time to Trap Formula now. So now Trap Formula in clear air, he can now really show his pace off again. He can really start to get away, and this is where it got all awkward for the Ferrari. Is it going to get all awkward for the Williams? He's braking much later, he's locking up, trying not to make sure he doesn't take any mistakes. There's a sense of caution for the Williams. He's decided to do what Warren did to keep ahead previously. He uses the overtake. Warren's out of it. Down the inside goes Dende. Nice and easy move then for the Williams driver. He's gone a little bit wide though, and it hasn't really meant an issue. A little bit of a touch there for Yigamau on the back. They're both basically gone ice skating there, almost losing the rear ends from both of them there. Yigamau's lost a little bit of time from that, but he wouldn't worry too much. But now this is really the time for Dende to really start to catch up to Trap Formula. But look what it's cost him being stuck behind Warren Haug. He has literally been a game changer in this, in both Trap Formula's race and then Dende's race. So this is very, very interesting now, because this does mean that Dende really does have to get his... He really has to get his speed on now to really have something. James Dovey's just not having a good day, is he? He spun again at the exit of turn 21, and I think he's coming to the pits. That may just be a retirement. He's not had a very good day at all, has he, James Dovey? And there we go, into the pits, retiring from the race. This is interesting now. is we've got Chat Formula behind Vonis, and now there's no car separating Dende from Chat Formula. So if the same scenario happens again, looking at the ERS, it's likely, and if Vonis doesn't pit, that is, I tell you what, we could be seeing a rather interesting thing going on here, because Vonis, he will use his overtake. If he wants to keep ahead, he will use his overtake, and he does stay out ahead of Chat Formula. But if Chat Formula really cannot execute this, and Dende is quicker than Vonis, or they're both quicker than Vonis, there's a huge risk, but a huge slide for Vonis. May have just opened the door already. They go side by side. Chat Formula, I think, will have this one. I think Vonis will just have to give up, and there we go. Chat Formula, he gets away with a mistake really there from Vonis. Vonis has the DRS. He won't come fighting back though, I don't think. He was definitely thinking about it. But I think the grip on those tyres are completely different to Chat Formula's, which just means that there's no chance of him ever fighting back on that Ferrari at the moment. There's a 22-second gap between Hersey and Chat Formula. I'm very intrigued to see where Hersey comes out in this race. Where's the gap to the leader? It's around 29 seconds for Yigamau, who's got to pit again. That's insane. There's a 30-second gap between Hersey, the leader, and then the next highest hard runner, Vonis. There's a 23-second gap. So he's gained an entire pit stop alone on these guys. So that's very impressive indeed. Yigamau is fighting with Warren Howell. Is he going to get close enough to make an overtake? No, he's not. I'll tell you who is though. It's these two battling for position side by side, Jack Tyler and Josh Sidney. Let's see how these two work together. Are they going to work together, or are they just going to completely collapse together? But anyway, look at that though. Jack Tyler swooping round the outside, using all the track available to stick into 7th place. Now here comes Josh Sidney in 8th place. He's defending from Davey W, who's in 9th place. A little bit of a good battle going on here for 7th. And hopefully, it seems to be a long battle, but at the moment, it doesn't seem to be being that way. Yigamau, the first hard tyre runner to pit onto the mediums, to make their first stop of the day, that is. And looking at this, Josh Sidney looks a lot more capable than Jack Tyler. Jack Tyler on the older hard tyres, perhaps starting to really lose that grip advantage compared to Josh Sidney in 7th place. Vonis losing position now to Dende, so Dende's going to be running as fast as he can to catch up to Chat Formula. Annoyingly, Chat Formula though is 21 seconds behind Hersey, so obviously there's a lot of clean air now for Chat Formula. I think the only way that Chat Formula is not going to win this race now is the medium runner, which would be Hersey. Is he going to flag? There's Lewis who spun there at the exit of turn 3, so again another spinner there. Not very good day for the Red Bulls, Mercedes, or really anyone else for James Dovey, because he's the only McLaren, so technically McLaren as well. But VSC, right, okay, so we have a VSC. Here's Hersey. He's coming towards the pit lane. This is definitely going to be a pit stop, and this is possibly definitely going to be the race win. This is going to be the one and only thing that's going to stop Chat Formula from winning. He's going to be well annoyed with this. The VSC is going to be anxious to get away from the VSC and get going again. The VSC is still out. When's it going to go? Is it gone? Well, it looks like it's gone. It has gone. Drive-through penalty for Aero Specialist, not for Chat Formula. This is going to be close, ladies and gentlemen. Where's Hersey? Is he coming out? No, he's not. He's slightly behind, but he's on the medium tyres. The unfortunate thing for Dende, that is going to be no higher than 2nd place then. Hersey is surely now going to have the pace to get away from the Williams driver ahead of him. Behind him. And unfortunately for Dende, that's really screwed his strategy up really a lot, and perhaps it's probably really made him feel in a bit of a mood after that. He'll be quite angry with what's happened there. Now it's all about how can Chat Formula deal with Hersey in 2nd place. Hersey now is probably my favourite to win this race, simply because of how good those medium tyres tend to be to the hards. Anyway, here comes Josh Sidney. He's closing in on Jack Tyler. Not enough though, braking much later than the AlphaTauri ahead of him. AlphaTauri just having a slight sense of caution at the moment. But he's just not going to be close enough to challenge Jack Tyler to anything at the moment. But looking now into Sector 2, it's going to be quite difficult through here. He's getting very close to the back end of the Alpha Tower. He doesn't want to break a wing at the moment. He's going to send it down the inside. This is probably not a very good move. I'm pretty sure Jack Tyler will be pretty annoyed with that one. Let's open the door again for Davey W to potentially make a move very soon. He's back into the DRS zone then of these two ahead of him, which will seem to bring him back into the fight. That was a bit of a risky move there from Josh Sidney, and it didn't work. He was lucky not to spin Jack Tyler, but I'm pretty sure that'd be quite annoying for the AlphaTauri driver ahead of him. Huge pressure that he's receiving right now from this Renault driver behind. Can he keep him behind is the question. We know Josh Sidney likes to brake later, so it does show that if he is given the open door or given the opportunity, he will likely make the overtake. But now Jack Tyler is getting close to Warren Haug. We said about this, Warren Haug is actually on 18-old lap on hards, and he's been very, very slow for a couple of laps now. Almost pretty much has cost Trap Formula quite a lot of positions. We'll go back to that in a minute anyway, because that seems to be what we mainly will be talking about in a minute. But anyway, Warren Haug is quite slow, so Jack Tyler could be under a little bit more pressure now. He's in a Renault sandwich. I wonder if Warren Haug's going to play the team game here. He's got nothing really to gain from this race except for play this team game and hopefully let his teammate buy in. As we see again, braking way later, Josh Sidney, and Warren Haug is just so slow ahead of him, but there's no overtaking opportunity. Now here comes Josh Sidney. He's going to be coming alongside Jack Tyler. Is he just going to sit behind? That's no surprise there. He's going to wait a little bit longer. He knows he's got the time to do so. He's hitting to the back of Jack Tyler. He's almost just saying, let me pass now. And he's going to be braking later again. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3. That is the Red Bull there. But we'll have to miss this battle for now. This battle at the front then for the lead. 10 laps to go then. Trap Formula has to keep Hersey behind if he wants to win this race. We've seen how difficult it was to get by a driver with worse tyres, but the difference being in that one was the fact that the driver with the worst tyres had much more ERS to play with. The difference here is the driver behind, he has loads more ERS to play with. So that means that basically Hersey has all the advantages he needs to get by Trap Formula here on the straights, but just how will he do it? It doesn't look like Jack Tyler's making a move on Warren Haug at the moment, so that'll be interesting, but these two continue to battle. Hersey's just going to stick in the DRS at the moment. He's not going to fuss too much. He's just probably going to put the pressure on Trap Formula a little bit. This is a track where you can easily make mistakes, and perhaps Trap Formula is starting to feel a little bit of the pressure now with Hersey behind him, who is clearly on the better tyres. He's clearly had the better race. He's clearly got the better momentum going forward, and I think there's an AlphaTauri in the wall. That is Stiggy. And oh, there's Josh Sidney in the wall. He's retired from the race. What are we getting? Oh, virtual safety car. Okay, if we got a safety car, that would have been a whole lot different for interesting sort of things, because Trap Formula would have been able to pit onto the medium tyres. And, well, Josh Sidney's had a bit of a very unfortunate race. It could have been so much better than this. There was so much promise on his debut. That is so unlucky today. He's had such an unlucky race today. But anyway, the thing being, we've got 9 laps left. We do get back on the way. Trap Formula has really done well with the restart. Hersey has not, but I reckon Hersey's just not really doing much. I'm not sure what's happened, Doogie. I reckon there has been some sort of contact or something. Jack Tyler does finally get past Warren Haug. Now that leads him ahead of Davey, so I don't think Davey W is going to be getting by much soon. We've seen how difficult it is to overtake again around this track, but Hersey at the moment's fell back a little bit. I don't know if he's just being a bit too... He's being a bit too laid back or something, or he's just made a simple little mistake off the restart. He's 8 tenths behind Trap Formula, and he won't be making an overtake much soon. But here's someone who will be likely making an overtake, and right there it just showed the advantage in the grip. Davey W looking for the move finally on Warren Haug. Had to kind of go a bit cautious there. He does make the move finally, but without caution there, he had a little bit of a lift there through the straight, maybe being a bit worried there about Warren Haug there, almost going into him. But at the moment, the Renault driver has really got nothing left to prove. He's on 20 lap old tyres. He's hit the wall now. So his race is now completely in the bin, basically, now at this point. He needs to get that to the pits. He still needs to make a pit stop at the moment. He's coming through sector 2 at the moment. He's lost loads of time. Oh, he's just not got the pace at all or anything anymore. Back to the front then, where this battle is still going on between these two. And all track formula out there. A little mistake there, it looks like, off the rear end of the tyres. The tyres are starting to go a little bit on those hard tyres. The pressure is on. Here comes Hersey then. He's coming to the inside and he takes the lead of this Singapore Grand Prix. Finally takes the lead of this Singapore Grand Prix. I'm pretty sure Track Formula is not going to let this go easily. But the thing is though, he's got no ERS to take it. Neither has so Hersey's got all the ERS just to defend his position. He's got the tyre advantage as well. He's got all the advantages. Look at that. No ERS to attack with, and there we go. The only thing that benefits Track Formula is the DRS, which just won't be enough considering Hersey still has 49% ERS, the tyre advantage, which through here he's going to be absolutely exposed for, including the next couple of corners where he's definitely going to be under pressure. And look how much he's trying to drag the car back. He knows how much he wants this win, but it's kind of just fallen away from him, out of his own hands as well, really, because of the virtual safety car. So Hersey now in the lead of this race, and now I cannot see Track Formula fighting back. He's not got much advantage at all to the Haas in front of him, and in fact it's more of a disadvantage just sticking where he is. He might as well just back off a little bit, because there's no way he's getting back by unless there's obviously a mistake from the Haas driver. He's now almost a second clear of Track Formula, Hersey is, and that just shows the great grip that they have compared to the hard tyres. But towards the end they will start to drop off, but so will the hard tyres. So this strategy has worked absolutely golden for the Haas driver, and I expect him to come across the line in first place come the end of this race. Anyway, the battle for fourth place is still not over, really, as you say it. Not really the wooden spoon, is it? Because obviously battle of the wooden spoon is usually last place, but more the battle of the, I don't know, just battle of fourth place, really. I don't really know what to say about it. It's not gold, bronze, silver or anything, is it? So it's just fourth place. Let's just say best of the rest, because at the moment that's basically what it looks like at the moment. But Davey W is quite close to Jack Tyler, not close enough to make any sort of impact with an overtake. But he's definitely closing on Jack Tyler in fourth place. Davey W in fifth. He does have a penalty though, remember. He does have a 3-second penalty, which will cost him a little bit in this race, and perhaps Vonus could close in on him. In fact, Vonus could close in on both of these two at the moment. But look at the gap out in front now, 2.3 seconds. That just shows you how bad those hard tyres are compared to the mediums. It's simply put. You know, I'm sorry, but Hersey just gone and dominated another race, and I think there will be some sort of real anxious feeling in Dende's mind again, simply because of that factor that when Hersey comes out to play, he really does come out to play, and he plays the simple game of eat, sleep, dominate, repeat. Anyway, David W then, 5 tenths off Jack Tyler. He's going to be closing in on the AlphaTauri ahead of him. The AlphaTauri will make it to the end on the hard tyres, definitely. There's a certainty of that. But the hard tyres for Jack Tyler are going to be much more worse. They're 4 laps worse than David W's, and this is exactly the point where you know, there is probably a difference, a rather major difference between the two tyres. They will continuously get worse, I believe, from this point, but Jack Tyler's are significantly much worse than Davey W. So Davey's now got a huge opportunity to overtake Jack Tyler. They've both got a lot of ERS, which is pretty good for both of them. They both remained quite content, not scared really of battles at all. They've been playing their cards quite well. Really, at the moment, these two are very close together. Davey has shown greater pace in the last couple of laps than Jack Tyler, though, to be fair. I don't know if Jack Tyler may have a little bit of damage, though. because he did get caught up in a battle. It doesn't look like it. David W is going to close in even more now. He's got the DRS, which is helping him against Jack Tyler to try and close in. And he's closing in considerably a lot here for 4th place. What the funny thing would be is if all the top 3 crashed out and your podium now fight is for this. I mean, that would be quite incredible, because this seems like more like a race win fight than I would ever see, because Trap Formula is now 3 seconds behind Hersey, so Hersey is almost in the zone really right now just to win this race outright. And look at Jack Tyler, he's gone very wide there out of the corner. He's maximising the exit. Has that worked out for him? It looks to have. Not significantly though. And just through these corners you have a sense of pressure coming on for Jack Tyler. He really seems to be looking like he could be under a bit of pressure here come the final few laps. He's got 4 laps to go after this, and really unfortunate for Dende picking up a 3-second penalty. I don't think he's going to worry about it too much. He's got an insanely good gap compared to Jack Tyler, and he's not going to be catching Trap Formula anytime soon. He's going to be just happy sticking with the 3rd place. And I'll tell you what that does mean for the championship. Both drivers are on the same points. There's only 1 point difference between them. If Hersey has scored the fastest lap point, or if he's got the fastest lap, then that's the case. But no, he hasn't. That would go to Aero Specialist, who's fitted on the softs. I'm pretty sure he's just fitted them on just to see what he can do. And obviously at this point, it'll be all nice and done. Is it crazy to think we started streaming all the way an hour and a half ago, and this race still isn't done? That just shows how long this race is. We literally started 1 hour and 26 minutes ago, this stream, and we're still going, guys. That's so long, really, talking into a microphone sometimes. But anyway, Vodis is coming up to the back of the sky. This could be a really interesting finale then for the battle for 4th place. We've got Jack Tyler, who seems to be just sticking it out in front. You see second in this train, Davey W, who seems to be the quicker driver. He's got the much less worn tyres, and then you've got Vonis on the clearly better medium tyres behind them. So this is going to be a very interesting battle between these 3 in the dying stages of this race. They're very close together, and I think Davey W will be looking definitely considerably to make an overtake very soon. He sees the medium tyre runner coming. He definitely doesn't want to concede position to him. And oh, a little bit of a mistake there out of that corner. Hasn't cost him much time or any time at all. That's kind of a surprise there, but he's just been building up the ERS a little bit. But he's just falling back a little bit. He's just weighing up his options at the moment. He knows Jack Tyler is going to be feeling more under pressure as the laps go by. The more he sticks right behind him. And Jack Tyler knows he's going to definitely be coming at some point. So I think it's just weighing up his options now, David W. Is this going to be the lap? He's going to send it on Jack Tyler. And Jack Tyler's got a relatively decent exit. However, look at that. Overtake and DRS now for David W. Has he just used too much of it? Yes, he has. He's decided to back out of it just for now. Jack Tyler, though, is starting to run out of his ERS. 3 laps to go, really, for Davey to do this. And really, it's becoming a little bit more of an anxious wait now for David W. If he stays behind any longer, it could be quite an issue. Hersey picks up a 3-second penalty. I mean, unless he gets some sort of significant damage, it's not going to matter, is it? He's 6 seconds clear of Trap Formula. He's not going to care whatsoever, really, about that. But anyway, oh, Davey W really starting to try and push those tyres to unimaginable levels. Jack Tyler's are starting to become really worn now. This is literally the point where we saw Warren Halgat, where he was really slow on those hard tyres. And I wonder if this is now that sort of moment where Jack Tyler's are really starting to go on him now. So I really do want to see this battle towards the end of this race. It's very close between these 3, but again, not really many overtaking opportunities. Davey W really starting to close in again, back on Jack Tyler, but once again it's just not close enough to be looking for the move. He's going to be closing in though with this DRS straight into turn 1. He's braking much more later on the brakes. That suggests he's much more confident with the grip, of course, and confident with the brakes because the tyres have much more grip. But anyway, coming into turn 4 now, Davey W looking very close behind Jack Tyler, trying to get by this time. He's going to use a bit of overtake. Jack Tyler's out of it. I'm surprised Davey hasn't gone for this one, because Jack Tyler is out of the ERS basically. Almost now, and Vonus is just sticking behind. He thinks there's a mistake coming between these guys, and I wonder if there actually will be. There's a little bit of gaps closing in again between David W, Jack Tyler and Vonus, but at the moment Jack Tyler still leading this train 4th, 5th and 6th, but at the moment it's looking very, very pressurizing for the AlphaTauri driver. And Vonus as well is putting a little bit of pressure on Davey W at the moment, but Davey W seems to be resisting that quite well. And well, we're now on to lap 30 of 31, 2 laps left to go, and it's coming to a point now really where Hersey's tyres are starting to go off, Track Formula's tyres are starting to go off, everyone's tyres are starting to go off. But just look at this though, Davey W, he's still trying to get that exit better than Jack Tyler. Jack Tyler is just considerably finding a little bit more of a wave to considerably keep ahead. And that's exactly what he's playing with his cards here right now. Lap 30 of 31, then 2 laps to go. Will we see any sort of late moves from Davey W or Vonus? Vonus has fallen off quite considerably. He's actually out of the DRS. He must have made some sort of mistake then. But at the moment, it's these two for 4th place. Now the DRS open again. The overtake as well now for Davey W. Is he going to think about it? He's got much more momentum coming into this corner. He goes side by side. He goes down the inside. Brilliant move from the Williams driver. Pushes Jack Tyler wide. But Jack Tyler just remains in 4th place. He sticks around the outside though, Davey. And as he got the move down the inside, my voice is starting to go. But anyway, look at that. Brilliant move from the Williams driver. It's now a Williams 3-4. However, the difference is the fact that Davey has a 3-second penalty. He's definitely got the tyre advantage, but of course, one more lap to get away from Jack Tyler is just not going to work. But a splendid battling between these two, and I already said this earlier on about how I said this on the formation lap about how well these guys do tend to battle. There's not usually much antics going on. And this was brilliant racing between all of them. Let me get a drink. I should be fine towards the end of it. It's been a long night, alright? So it's all good. We're on to the final lap, and Hersey at the moment is set to win this race. 5.2 seconds between them. Hersey does have a 3-second penalty. So if Track Formula can really bring out the laps somehow, then there is a possible chance, but it's very unlikely. Davey now looks to be set to get that 4th place then, but look at this Vonus, so he wants that 4th place, because obviously it'll only be provisional because of the penalty. But at the end of the day, Vonus is going to be the one who's going to be potentially looking. The positive for Jack Tyler is Jack Tyler has got he's got the DRS, so we're stuck in a DRS train. The ERS though, he's out of it. So here comes Vonus then. Vonus with the grip advantage, everything like that. Jack Tyler going defensive there, blocking him off. That was actually decent defending from Jack Tyler. I don't think that was too late. I think that was just about fine. He's really edging it there, really. But Vonus though getting a poor exit out of there. I think he'd be quite disappointed he couldn't make that move done there, but Jack Tyler defending quite considerably. Now if we go on board with the leader, that's not the leader. Where is the leader? Tell me where the leader is. I want the leader. There he is. He's come around the final few corners now. Hersey has had a pretty dominant race again today to win the Singapore Grand Prix. He takes it by quite some considerable distance. 5.8 seconds from Track Formula. Track Formula gave him a challenge. Unfortunately, the challenge was not enough. Dende is now coming through Sector 3 now. The tricky 90-degree corners here. He sees the fireworks. He'd be unfortunate to hear though that it's not for Track Formula and it is for his championship rival Hersey. But I guess the good thing is that he does remain in the lead of the championship by 1 point. So this is going to be a really interesting end to the season. Davey W then comes to the line very soon to finish 4th place. Jack Tyler will come to 5th place and Vonus to 6th place, but this will move up and down places. Jack Tyler to 4th, Vonus to 5th, Davey W to 6th place. Yigamau will come around the final corner to finish 7th. Puckle has had a pretty quiet race again, and I think both Mercedes have had a pretty quiet race. They're just stuck in the right place, and there they come towards the line. Really, well, one of them anyway comes towards the line to get himself an 8th place in Puggle. 9th place for Rika will be also coming very, very soon. And Puggle's actually binned it in the wall, rather interesting. But he does finish the race, that's the good thing. So he does pick up the points. He picks up 3 points from this race. He'll be quite happy with that one. And then Rika in 9th place comes across the line. He's not going to do the same as his teammate. Is Warren Howe going to do the same? No, he's not. So that is everyone across the line. That is the end of this race. And wow, what a race it was. That was quite an interesting race indeed. Very, very long and tiring. And, you know, I would have said if it's a title battle that I have a, excuse me because I have a lump in my throat, but because it's not a title battle, I can't say that. If anyone wants to, you know, obviously know where that's from, you know where that's from, but if you don't, then you don't. Anyway, once again, it's a Haas driver on the top step of the podium, and once again, it's not CRG Sparks, because this isn't F1, this is F10, but it's the other Haas driver that seems to be doing really well right now. It is Hersey, who takes a very close stride towards his championship title. However, he's still sticking behind the man who finished on the podium with him in 3rd place to his right, from our eyesight anyway, in the Williams livery. But anyway, Hersey wins this race then and takes his 5th victory, I believe, of the season. Trap Formula in 2nd place, Dende in 3rd place, Jack Tyler will finish in 4th place, Vonis from 14th to 5th, good performance from him. Davey W in 6th, Yigamau, brilliant performance from him, 18th to 7th place, Poggle in 8th, 9th for Rika, and 10th for Warren Haug. Everyone else outside the top 10 is as followed there. What an interesting race that was. That was a very, very, very interesting race, and I tell you something now, I think the outcome would have definitely been different if we didn't see that virtual safety car, and I think we could have seen a really, really fun battle for the race win. But it is what it is, and at the end of the day, you know, we cannot expect, you know, the world. These things happen, they happen at very awkward times as well. But with that, I do have one driver with me. It's the driver that finished 3rd in the race today, F1R Dende, joining me back again in the commentary box once again for another week of action. I don't think there's I don't think the other two are going to be joining us, unfortunately, but I do have some questions. Firstly, how was the race for you? It's not too much battles, was there, in that second half?
Wasn't much going on second half, no. Like, I've had a really good get-go. I gained 2 positions on Hershey, that was crucial. But then, like, it was pretty boring, to be honest. I was just driving my laps around. I wasn't the quickest. Trap Formula was insane quick today. And just kept it on the black stuff and bring it home. That was all I could do.
You still lead the championship, but now by 1 point. Is there a sense of anxiety coming from you now with only a few rounds to go?
Nah, I'm really looking forward. It's going to be a great fight to the very end. Great to be in a position like that, to be honest, as well. I haven't fought before the season. I think I told you before as well. Quite surprised. So I'm really looking forward. It gives you a little bit extra kick and extra motivation for the races. And I think he was a bit lucky today with the virtual safety car, wasn't he?
Yeah, he definitely was. I said just before you joined me, I did say that we would have had a completely different race, I reckon, if that virtual safety car didn't happen. And I do want to say he got a 3-second penalty as well, and Trap Formula didn't. So if that virtual safety car didn't happen, Trap Formula would have won the race. Well, on track depends on where you would have finished, because that obviously had implications to all of you. So really, it was quite an unfortunate moment, wasn't it?
But I was saving up ERS during the whole race, literally waiting for the end for Hershey then to come with the fresher tires, and I even put my wing down 1 on my pit stop, so I'm a bit quicker on the straights, because I knew his tires are going off quickly if he changes on the soft tires. So saving up the ERS, which was unnecessary in the end, but I think I could have held him back. Maybe, I don't know, would have been close probably, but Trap Formula would have won the race definitely. He would have deserved it as well. Like, he's driving very well last couple of weeks, been really unlucky. though. He deserves a podium, that's for sure.
Wet qualifying, you were the quickest wet runner. Do you reckon you would have been fighting for pole position more if you put on the intermediates for your final run, or do you reckon that was probably the best you're going to get out of it?
It was the best with the wets. I could have gone improved by 10th or 2 in my last one, and I could have been up a place or 2, but I didn't know to go on the inters because in the pits, you know the screen when they show you the little pictures, and the last one was with a thunderstorm picture with heavy rain, and I thought, okay, the worst conditions going to be in the end, and I was constantly asking Jeff as well, and he said rain tires, wet tires are the best ones. So I stayed on them, and then I got the quickest lap, I think, a minute before the end. And the tire still felt really good, and I was like quite sure that it's going to be pole, but then on my in-lap I already saw how dry it's going to be, and there was that little window, that little gap, they perfectly hit it with their inters. There was no way I could beat that.
I think you probably shared a little bit of frustration at that point, of course, which obviously you're still happy with the qualifying position, and of course the race start as well, you got past Hersey pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure once that happened, that was probably your main goal, wasn't it? So I'm pretty sure at that start of the race you were feeling quite confident after you got rid of the Haas driver quite quickly.
That was great, and I tuck in behind Tyler, I think, and I could follow really easily and made then gained some ground on him, and then he had wing damage as well, so I was constantly on the move. And in the first stint my pace wasn't too bad either compared to Traps. But on the hards, he was just flying away. No way in hell. When I hit the mid sector perfectly, he still gained half a tenth, and I couldn't understand why. He was so much quicker.
Yeah, well, I think you would take third place today, wouldn't you? Though, pretty much, because obviously it was unfortunate that you didn't get to have a nice battle with Hersey, which would have been just spectacular.
For you as well.
Yeah, it would have been absolutely spectacular. I was on the edge of my seat all race this one. It's such a long race, Singapore. But next week we head to the States, the United States to be exact, and Texas to be even more exact. And I can be more exact, but there's no point. But what's that track like for you? Is it a good track, or is it one of your sort of meh sort of tracks?
I really like it. It's like I kind of like all the tracks coming up now. I like the fast S section. I like the acceleration out of the hairpin as well. I like the whole tracks. Every single part of it is great to drive. I think really looking forward for the practice as well. Couldn't put in so much this time due to some holiday and some vacation I went away. So putting in some more effort this time for sure. Really looking forward.
Yeah, and obviously you'll be enjoying the final stretch. Only 4 rounds to go then, and well, like we've just mentioned, it's the United States Grand Prix for next week here in PSGL F10, and I tell you what, this championship is really starting to become a real hot championship to really watch out for. And you can join us next week where hopefully we'll see a really good battle between the 2 leaders, which we were supposed to get tonight. And well, yeah, it was quite unfortunate for the VSC, but you know, we'll have to deal with that. And next week we'll be back again at the United States, and it'll be very entertaining to watch. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. You'd want to come join us for certain. So next week, definitely consider it. And you know, we'll see you again next week, and well, possibly we'll be seeing Dende back on the podium interviews again next week, because he's been here every single time except from Monaco. So consistency is key. And yeah, I've been Sam the commentator tonight, and I've been joined by Dende in the commentary box for podium interviews, and we will see you again next week for the United States Grand Prix.